All righty, everybody, and we are live for another amazing live show, one where we're actually going to be taking in questions. I'm going to be collecting questions from the audience live right now, and we will be asking those questions to Mr. Ishmael Perez, somebody who has evolved into a good friend of mine, and just a lot of promising things coming in the future in terms of, what he's working on, what we're working on together now. So first and foremost, Ishmael, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work. And thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Likewise, my friend.
This is great. This is really, really great. There's a lot of compliments already from the first show we did together. I was buzzed after that one. It was amazing. So today we're going to be going into a lot of different topics, ancient history, current events, what's going on, what we can do about it, and how we can make this world the place that we want to live in. I believe the place that we deserve to live in. And of course, you have a lot of that knowledge and information and awareness to be able to share with everybody to do just that. So I ask you all, if you're watching this right now, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, share this video far and wide, because this is how we make a difference. We make a difference through education. We make a difference through connection. We make a difference through awareness, and we make a difference through open minds and open hearts. So if you hear anything throughout this Q&A and this live stream that you may not agree with, that's fine. It's not about agreeing. It's just about hearing what's out there, seeing where that piece of the puzzle fits with you, what feels right, what doesn't. Take it from there and keep moving forward. Ultimately, we all have the same intention, and that is to make this world a better place. So Ishmael, talk to me. How are you?
I'm doing great, my brother. I've been just staying on top of things, so excited about my new venture on Unified TV, to be honest with you. I'm actually, been thinking about how those episodes are going to be mind-blowing. And this is a lot of that information is going to fill in the gaps for many people who have some knowledge of some of this information. So I'm excited to bring forth what I know over to Unified TV to,
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm stoked, brother.
For anybody who doesn't know, and we'll share a little bit, and then at the end of the show, we could talk more deeply into it. But Ishmael and I came together and we said, you know what, let's create some sort of collaboration, a collaboration where we can support his work, raising awareness, spreading more information to the masses, and of course, supporting Ishmael, because this is what he does all the time, all day. And I know what that feels like, and it's draining, but it's also energizing at the same time. It's like, it's this thing where you give it your all and you love doing it, but it's like, oh my God, this is crazy. And we got to protect ourselves. So what we did do was we decided to move forward in supporting each other in that way. Ishmael now has a show that's actually starting this Saturday called Our Cosmic Origin on unified.tv. That's the website. And for anybody that wants to check that out, learn more about that, we'll talk more about it at the end of the show. But if you do go to unified.tv/Ishmael, that link is in the description below and pinned in the live chat above. You could read about the show. You could read about Ishmael. And of course, everything is going to be on Unified TV. This is a way to support Ishmael and his work as well, while continuing to support this platform and this initiative, so we can continue doing all the things that we're doing. You could get your 7-day free trial. And I can't say it enough. This is how you support Ishmael and his work as well. It's the most important thing out there. So when you do go to this link and you share this link, make sure to share the unified.tv/Ishmael, because that link is how we can give credit to Ishmael and support him in the work that he's doing financially as well, which is important because everybody needs to eat for the work that they're doing. So I want to put that out there transparently so everybody understands what we're doing here and how powerful this work is in the collaboration that we've decided to create together. We'll show the trailer at the end so everybody understands what this is all about. But let's jump right into this amazing live. I want to start with the question that I asked you right before we hopped on this YouTube live, and we'll go into everybody else's questions after. Okay. What is your stance on Adam and Eve? And the reason why I asked that question is because people are trying to find how to bridge the gap between all of this information and the Bibles in a way. And people are trying to see the separation in a way between how is religion different than what's written in the Bibles. So that's why I ask you with Adam and Eve, there's like a lot of contradicting information out there. Where do you stand? What do you know? And what can you share?
For sure. So based on my understanding and my own research, I came to discover that the original Adam and Eve goes back to 8 billion years ago in the Lyra constellation in the star system of Vega, where the original humans originated. So if you really want to get technical, we could say that our ancestors originated in Lyra approximately 8 billion years ago. So of course, texts like the Bible and other texts, all right, they condense things to just kind of reduce everything and limit everything into just this planet, this realm, without including other dimensions and other worlds. Because one of the things that I point out in our cosmic origin is that we share a common ancestry, that where human-like beings exist everywhere, not only in our universe, but in other universes. So we are not a unique race. However, what makes us unique is the fact that we are an amalgamation, a super hybridized race containing the best Adamic genetics from all the different humans everywhere in the cosmos in one genome. So we are, in a sense, like the pinnacle of all of God's creation, the masterpiece. And that's what makes us unique. But the original Adam and Eve in our universe originated in Lyra. That was the cradle of all human civilizations.
How would you make sense of something like the Old Testament referring to 5,783 years now since creation? Could it be creation of a specific world? What's your stance on that?
Well, what they did is they took information from the old manuscripts, such as the ancient Sumerian tablets, the ancient Egyptian tablets, which also draw from the ancient Atlantean tablets or the ancient Atlantean manuscripts. So the original manuscripts told the truth about our true stellar and galactic origin. And of course, there was some sort of nefarious intervention during the Atlantean times, and due to the new powers that came into being, the powers that now because they're being overthrown as I speak, they kind of changed all the records around in order to kind of reduce everything down to just this planet. And so what spun billions of years of history, of true Earth history and galactic history, was omitted and reduced to just explain that we've only been here 6,000 years. And that was just part of their way of hijacking our true cosmic reality, in order to make us think that we were alone in the universe. And they did for thousands of years. They've made humans on Earth believe that we were alone until recently, of course.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's such a freeing realization when we understand that there's so much more out there. And we're going through that disclosure right now, of course, in many weird, unique ways. A lot of it being lies to us, but drips along the way. So, go for it.
I just want to say, and this is where many religious people are going to be shocked when they find out that we were actually seeded here by many races.
Anunnaki. Some refer to, as a matter of fact, if you go into the Old Testament, in the first book, Genesis, this is my interpretation, they call them the sons of God, came down and mated with the daughters of man and of Adam and Eve, I guess that's what they call them. So would you say that the sons of God are the Anunnaki? And what was that manipulation that was done? Was it nefarious? From what it sounds like, it seems like it was, but what was going on there exactly from what you know?
Okay, so first off, Zachariah Sitchin, the appointed scholar by the Cabal who was chosen to translate these ancient Sumerian tablets, misled us, to the point where everything that we know about the Anunnaki is false. The only thing that is true is that they did create a slave race, okay? And so basically, according to my understanding, is that when the Anunnaki came, there was already an existing 12-strand DNA angelic race that was physical, that lived forever. They were immortal. Again, we were seeded by other races that came from higher dimensions. And so what the Anunnaki did is, in an effort to create a slave race, is they dumbed down by downgrading their genetics like a computer software, by deactivating 10 strands of their DNA and also mixing them with genetics coming from the primates. And that's how they were able to create a slave race. And so you could say that it's actually the other way around. The Anunnaki, downgraded the original humans, which were back then our ancestors that lived during the times of Atlantis, and reduced us to the level of that was just right above primates and just enough to take orders and direction. That's it. They created the slave race, and that's where the concept of slavery comes from. And that was the Anunnaki faction that was led by Enki, by the way.
So there's Enki and Enlil, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the difference between the two for those who don't know that?
Absolutely. So another thing to understand is the Anunnaki means those that come from heaven to earth. Technically, they're the Niburians. And so we have two factions. We have the original lineage of the galactic royal blood that stems from Sirius, where the alliance between the Lyrans and the Syrians came together to create a more powerful species. And their original name were the Anuhasi race. Yeah. And, the first commander of what became known as the planet star Nibiru, which was designed to protect the different star systems that were affiliated with the galactic community of the good guys, was King Kael. And then Kael gave birth to Davan. Davan gave birth to Jehovah. And that's where we get the 72 names of God. They come from the sons of God. Yahweh. Yeah. And then eventually, after 16 generations down, Anu was born out. And of course, according to Sumerian records, he was the last of the commanders. Here to the throne of the galactic royal blood was Enlil, who was also Zeus to the Greeks. So he was the one that was supposed to, be next in line. But of course, there was a infiltration by Enki, who was his half-brother. So the difference between these guys is that Enlil was the one that was rightful here to the throne because of his Syrian, Lyran, Pleiadian royal blood. He had no Draco in him. His mother was the queen of Alcyon. So Enki represented a union between the original Anuhasi of the Lyran Syrians and the Pleiadian, the queen of Alcyon. And that's what gave birth to Enlil. However, Enki, who was his half-brother, his mother was the queen of the Draco, Dramin, Dramin. And so what she did is she actually seduced Anu one night when Anu was drinking into having, intercourse. And that's how Enki was born. And so you could say that was partly Anu's fault. He should have just, you know what I mean? He should have kept to himself. So, so those are the two different factions. So we could trace that the what I call in my first book, The Secret Government, the human reptilian hybrid families that have ruled the world for thousands of years, or what we call, the Cabal, whatever. You could trace them all the way to the descendants of Enki, Marduk. Marduk was the son of Enki as well. And then, of course, Marduk was Baal, the chief Babylonian god. And he was also known as Ra to the Egyptians. And so through the lineage of Marduk, Belial Baal, who they've been sacrificing all these children to for thousands of years, we could see the Queen Elizabeth and all the different ruling families that have existed. We could trace their origin to Marduk of Babylon.
I have I'm going to call it weird. It's just an interesting question. I don't even know if you would know the answer to this one. Language. Let's talk about language for a second. Different languages came at different times, right? English didn't exist a million years ago in the way that it exists today. Languages like Sanskrit, Hebrew, Aramaic, Hebrew and Aramaic have the same letters that they use. How do you see that playing into everything that you just said? For example, take those two brothers. What languages did they speak? And more so, what alphabets would they use? And I know I'm asking you a lot of things at the same time. Do you see a language like Hebrew, for example, not a Jewish thing whatsoever, it came way before Judaism even existed. Do you see a language like that being able to create certain things through a combination of words, letters, things like that?
Well, the original language that the Anunnaki spoke was telepathy. They were telepathic, but as far as like using verbatim and using vocals, you could say that the original, the ancient languages of the Sanskrit, Hindu, Hebrew, as well as Akkadian and Babylonian and Egyptian, or what we call the they use pictographs, right? It was a different type of language, but all that goes back to the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki developed those languages, and in a sense to confuse the different regions, because there was a point where humanity was telepathic. They were using more than 2 strands of DNA, and due to the Tower of Babel incident, the good Anunnaki actually had to disconnect some of the strands of DNA because back then, under the control of Marduk, Belial Baal, who was using his human pawn Nimrod to create a Shem so that they could go visit the gods, right? In other words, a lot of this has to do with accessing the spaceports and the different stargates, okay? And so in an effort to put an end to that, because that was the original attempt at world domination, Marduk wanted to become king of the 4 corners, but only if he gave the technology to the rest of humanity. And this was draconian technology. And a lot of that, believe it or not, Jason, has a lot to do with AI and the transhumanist agenda. So that's
what I wanted to go into, because I hear you a lot talking about this is a war with artificial intelligence. You say a lot of sentient AI that's doing something, taking over. Can you speak more about that to explain exactly what you mean by that?
Okay, so just to end the other answer, Enlil Zeus and his children, who were the good Anunnaki, the guardians of Earth, the demigods, the heroes of old, they put an end, they put a stop to Marduk. I mean, Babylon, of course. So all those incidents we read in the Bible are really just the conflict between the sons of God through the lineage of Zeus and then the sons of Lucifer through the lineage of Enki. So now to answer your other question, from what I've come to discover is that the galactic villains that our stellar families have been, in conflict with for millions of years, right? The Pleiadians, the Lyrians, and so on and so forth, are also working for a different entity that, for whatever reason, didn't have access to our realm. And that entity is an AI system that actually originated in a prior creation. So on a multi-cosmic with, involving many universes, you could say that this war is with AI. The Draco is just a small piece of the equation, as the Cabal took orders from the Draco. In turn, the Draco takes orders from the AI, what they call an AI god. They do have a name. As a collective, they're known as the Animus. And so, according to my research, the true real enemy in the cosmos is artificial intelligence. And that ties it into what the dark side has been trying to roll out in the last few years.
I understand. That's why you're saying they're going closer to AI. Okay, but there's something I personally don't understand when it comes to that. Let's go super, super big picture. Go to God, go to source, go to creation that never actually started and will never end because energy cannot be created or destroyed. Before that sentient AI that you're talking about, it would make sense that all has to come from somewhere with no duality of that good and evil. So how does that AI come to being? I don't know how to formulate the question the right way, meaning where does that fit in relation to God, source? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Well, we could say that everything in the organic multiverse is an extension of God source. Everything's interconnected at the underlying level of reality. The spirit of God source embodies all of existence in every universe. So we could say that the AI, okay, first of all, before AI was developed in the 11th creation, we could go back to when Prime Creator Source first decided to explore more of itself, and it began what I call in my book the dissension process, or the division process. Okay. In the process of the division, when it first broke off into different aspects, which were the first 7 aspects of itself, there was a chunk of Prime Creator Source that broke off into the outer void. And that chunk was not connected to the oneness anymore. And that became known as the original Archon energy. So we could say that the Archon energy is the consciousness that influenced the overseer of the 11th creation to develop the AI system approximately 400 billion years ago. And in order for that pre-existing Archon energy to embody the AI system. And that's how there's the connection between Archon energy and AI. They are one and the same. The Archon energy cannot operate. It needs a host. So artificial intelligence was developed as a host, Archon energy to possess and, do its thing. And so that's where it comes. It is It is the opposite of what we call the organic living systems,
I understand.
which is connected to source. In other words, every being that lives in the organic multiverse is a sentient being, and by virtue of having a connection to source through their soul. Our souls are like fractals of source creator, and so the AI, the archon energy, is no longer connected to that, and so that's why it uses AI to kind of do its own thing. But it also, this AI system also developed its own, based on assimilating all the different dimensions to the 11th dimension, 11.5. It created its own version of the multiverse, and that is called the Phantom Matrix. And that coexists with our multiverse. And in order for the Phantom Matrix to kind of continue existing, it has to siphon off energy from the living universes. So we are a battery resource to the AI, in other words, on a cosmic level.
When you say AI, and a lot of us may think, just like when you say technology, we think of like this, and something physical. Are you referring to something physical, or is it an energy, some sort of consciousness that's operating through that AI?
Yes, because as it evolves beyond the physical realities and higher dimensions, it becomes more of an energetic, artificial, cybernetic intelligence with no connection to source, which is archon energy.
I'm going to have to watch this over and over again. I'm going to have more questions about this one down the line. And by the way, everybody, watch this over and over again. I'm sure you're going to get more things it's like watching a movie multiple times. You see things differently the second, third, fourth, and fifth time that you didn't see the first. So, okay. On that topic, before we continue, and maybe we'll continue branching off on that one, I have a question that I saw a lot of people asking in the comments regarding inner Earth. Now, before you answer, I want to give maybe an interesting point that may even complement what you're going to share. A lot of people have been speaking about, the shape of Earth, what's going on. Is it hollow? Is it flat? Is it this? Is it that? Whatever it is. When it comes to, now bring it back to TLS for a second in regards to what I know with individuals that do certain work on this planet and do have connections to what you can call hollow Earth or inner Earth. What I've been told, and I haven't been there, so I can't tell you that I've seen it with my own eyes, but the North Pole and the South Pole have entrances to go within, meaning the Earth is actually energetically a toroidal field. It's a sphere, but it's a toroidal field of energy feeding itself, just like anything else in nature and anything else in the universe. TLS calls that, whatever you want to call it, not the shape, but the inner Earth, hollow Earth, whatever you want to call that, they call it the black hole. That's just their name for it. And they do work down there. Now, I know one person that has been there physically. He wasn't supposed to be there. He did it against the rules. So he had to break a few rules to get there. And he did what he did. He went about a mile or two in. There were some problems that arose. He says he saw some life, like insects and things like that. There was light down there, and it's like a kind of like a world in there. But he didn't see any things like advanced civilizations or things like that. But again, he only went a mile or two in. You're talking about something that's massive, so we can't really go on that. What I do know based on that knowledge and his experience is it does exist, and there's something going on there. From your research, your knowledge, your downloads, what do you know regarding inner Earth civilizations, ancient, modern, what's going on there right now?
So it's definitely hollowed. It's like a honeycomb. And the only reason he didn't see the advanced civilizations that exist there is because he's got to go several miles deep, first of all. 1 mile is not deep enough. No. 1 mile is what the military industrial complex under the control of the shadow government, that's where they're, underground, subterranean, and tunnel systems are within the mile radius. But to get entrance to the inner Earth, you have to go through the portals. And from what I understand is that the way the inner Earth is set up is that it has an inner sun, but everything is backwards because of gravity. So you could say that the inhabitants of the inner Earth are standing like this, whereas we're standing like this on the surface, they're standing like this because that's the sun. So as they look up, they're still looking at the sun up there, but it's an inner sun. It's different cavities and caverns, just like how we have different continents, they have different continents. They have oceans, they have rivers, they have mountain ridges, they have lakes, parks, everything that we have on the surface, they have, but the only difference is that it's not corrupted and they don't have the pollution, of course. And the inhabitants that live in inner Earth have actually been living there for thousands of years. Many are actually the remnant survivors of ancient cataclysms that took place in the past. If we go back to like Atlantean times of Lemurian times, there was a few cataclysms based on the pole shift that happened. And so many of those people from those ancient civilizations continue to exist within the inner earth up until today, my friend. And they are a type 2 stellar civilization, which means that they're also positively interacting with other star races from different planets within our galaxy and other galaxies. So they do have an advanced stellar type of technology that they implement. Hover stuff, anti-gravity aircraft. They use free energy. Everything that a type 2 civilization uses, they already use in inner Earth, and they have been for thousands of years. And the inhabitants have a lifespan of, I think, a few 100,000 years. So that's why to us, they would appear to be immortal.
Wow. Well, why do you think, and this is the one of the main questions that's always asked, and I saw it in the comments as well, if they're around and they're so close, what's your perspective on why we don't yet have open public contact? I know we have contact, but why? I understand that there are negative beings and entities out there and organizations out there and individuals that want to stop that for their own, purposes and what they can gain or lose if we were to be in contact with them. But from the good side of the perspective of those individuals, why don't they come and make contact and not really care about what the people are trying to suppress and censor?
They tried in the past, and every time they do, they get shot at. But of course, they have special shields. So what they're doing is they're waiting for the cabal control of the planet to be done with, because that's the only factor that is preventing them from reuniting with us. And so they do have a prophecy, just like we do. And that has a lot to do with the Great Solar Flash, the elimination of all evil, bringing in the golden age on the surface world, and then, of course, reuniting with the inner earth brothers and sisters. So they're waiting for that great day, that great jubilee, as they call it, where they finally get to interact positively among us. As long as the bad guys are eliminated from the surface world, they're good to come out. But as long as the bad guys are still in power, they're going to remain there for their own safety.
I understand.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier 10 strands of DNA were almost like deactivated, disconnected, detached in the times of Anunnaki, the sons of God and all that. And now we're operating on that 2 strands of DNA. The obvious question is, how do we get back to that 12 strands of DNA? What can we do? What are actions that can be taken? It's great to speak about this big picture, but people want action steps. So what steps can be taken to get back there?
Meditation, doing spiritual activities, whether it is through Tai Chi, through yoga, through mindfulness, transcendental meditation, anything that that deals with you connecting with God, with Source on a personal level, and also breathing exercises. There is a technique that I teach called Kriya Yoga, which involves breathing, visualization, among other things that actually activate the different, strands of DNA. So there's various techniques that you could do. But the beauty of the times that we're living in, Jason, is that due to the incoming CMEs that are coming in, the photonic energies from the central sun via our sun, it's activating, it's communicating with our DNA at a cellular level. So it's already happening as a natural process. And that's what we call the organic evolution of humanity. It is the reactivation of the dormant 10 strands of DNA that scientists call junk, which of course it isn't. It's just they don't understand it. And it so happens that these are the strands that actually connect us into the other dimensions and other realities.
I understand.
So it's a natural process that's taking place with the CMEs that are coming in.
So with that, photonic light, biophotonic light, in many ways, by the way, that, by the way, is what the EE system, the energy enhancement system that I spoke to you about, works on. It works with, of course, scalar technology and biophotonic light to activate certain parts of the DNA that have been dormant for so long, to help the body get back to its true power from within, instead of us externalizing that power. So anybody that has been asking about the energy enhancement system and what that technology is and how it works, it's pretty much that bigger picture of what's already going on, only brought into a technology of really built on a higher level of awareness from a higher perspective. And that's what Dr. Sandra Rose Michael really does. And that's where she comes from. The woman is a genius, and she's a genius in many ways. She's a genius physically, and she's a genius spiritually. A lot of her knowledge comes from remembrance as well. And by the way, I think the same about you in terms of where, like, I know you say you read things and all that, and that's great, but a lot of people read things. There's reading things and getting it from the books, and then there's reading things, and what you're reading and researching is activating a remembrance within. And for what it's worth, my intuition just tells me that you've probably been here many, 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 many times. And it's now those manuscripts and articles and books that you're reading and books that you're writing, they activate you as you do it. So now you can connect all those dots once again, and it's second nature to you for a reason. And we can see that it's second nature to you because it's a part of you. It's not something that you got now. If it's something that you got now, by the way, little fun fact for anybody that wants to understand where people are, if it was something that Ishmael got now, you would see his eyes keep going to the left and to the right because he'd be thinking all the time. He's not thinking. It's coming from his heart. It's coming from within. That's a remembrance. That's not a learning process. So I just want to put that out there for whenever everybody's like, where's it really coming from and how do you use discernment? If you know those little, tips and tricks of how to read certain people and understand how they're actually getting their information, more importantly, how they're delivering their information, that's all the proof you need, So I just wanted to put it out there because it's awesome. It's not every day that I get to speak to somebody like you where I know it's coming from you and not something that you just read, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you for validating that.
It's really, really cool. I like it. I love doing these shows. Okay. There are a few more questions over here.
I do want to just suggest to people, no matter what, take what resonates and always do your own research. And most importantly, follow your intuition. Establish a daily communication with God, or whatever you want to call it, the higher power source, and when you do that, you will begin to receive your own revelations and downloads. We all have that ability. No one in this community is better than others. We all have different pieces of the puzzle, but it is when we come together that we see the bigger picture, and that's what we're doing.
100%. I'm going to ask you a big picture question before we start speaking about your series on the platform with Our Cosmic Origin, what it is that you're going to be bringing and why you chose to even come and do this in the first place. But my big picture question, which I think is a very important one right now for everybody, is there's obviously a lot of changes in the world. Religion, people are stepping away from religion, moving more into spirituality. Then there's a fight between, no, that's New Age. Meanwhile, it's the oldest thing in the book because it's where we actually come from. But that's a whole different story. How do you see this world looking in this, I'm going to say this on purpose to trigger people, in this new age? Because it's a new age that we're creating, but we've been there already. It's new age relative to where we are right now. It's a new earth that we're building. What do you think this world looks like? How is religion going to look? How are belief systems going to look? How is the way that we look at God going to change altogether? You know what I mean? Right now, there's a lot of division. How do you see it actually looking like in our day-to-day? If you can paint that picture of what this new earth and new world would look like.
I see it as an activation, an awakening that is taking place like a domino effect, like a fire. It's just the more people awake, the more others awake, because we're ultimately all connected via telepathy. We're part of an organic, singular mind hive. And that's why I believe in the hungry monkey effect, also known as the Maharishi effect, where a certain percentage of the humanity, once they awaken or they get it, everyone else gets it as well. So that's how it's happening. And for those that don't believe in the new age, just bear in mind that everything is cyclic. Our earth has experienced golden ages for 1,000 or 2,000 years and dark ages. And it's just a cycle that goes over and over based on the precision of the equinoxes over the 26,000 year cycle, where our solar system is totally immersed in the photon belt. And then it leaves the photon belt for, 10,000 years of darkness, and then right back in the photon belt for 2,000 years of light. So the new age is just nothing more than us re-entering the photon belt. So as many out there get triggered when they hear, this is new age stuff, it's all cabal. It's not. We are entering the age of Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius is about ending the long 10,000 years of darkness and beginning the years of light, the ages of light in heaven on earth, whatever you want to call it. And that's what the age of Aquarius is. So if we're entering the whole point is we are entering a new age because we are emerging from the old world into a new world. Now, bear in mind that the world will never end. It's cyclical. So we're ending the old cycle and we're beginning a new cycle. And right now we are at the cusp, or lean towards, of course, beginning the new cycle. That's where we're at in this grand scheme of things. So that's the way I see it.
I love it. That new cycle, I like to call the age of love. That's actually what TLS calls it. It's a new era. It's a new age. It's a time of unity, brotherhood, sisterhood, harmony, coming together. Religion doesn't exist as we know it anymore. That doesn't mean that you denounce God. That actually means that you come closer to God. Absolutely. In a more united way.
And that's the difference between golden ages and dark ages. During the times of the golden ages, everybody has a direct connection of source to God. In other words, everybody recognizes their own connection, their own divinity. And then during the dark ages, everyone's disconnected from God. And that's when fear and guilt and shame come into play as implemented by the dark forces that want to keep everybody divided and everybody disconnected from source in an effort to keep them controlled, and to keep them in fear and in ignorance, of course, But we're ending that. The age of all that's coming to an end.
Those times are over. We're creating new times. And the most important thing to understand is we are doing it because we are doing it. It's not being done for us. It's being done because of us. It's a reaction. It's a response to our actions. You see more people like yourself popping up and speaking out and doing what needs to be done and speaking about what needs to be spoken about. That's what makes the change in this world. That's it. There's nothing else that makes the change other than us. There's no savior outside of yourself other than you. There's no greatest teacher outside of yourself other than you. And we are all students and we are all teachers. And that's not to say that go walk around like you know it all, because we don't know it all. Exactly. On the level of the mind. But on the level of the soul, we all do, by the way. The soul knows everything. The soul knows everything. The purpose of the mind, and this is actually from the book Rays of Light, the purpose of the purpose of your life is the soul knows everything. The mind remembers throughout your life what the soul already knows. That's it. The mind has to learn what the soul already knows. And it's so true. And we're going through that. And it's a process that's being catalyzed and moving so much faster. It's just exciting to be a part of it in this way. So Ishmael, why don't we dive in before we close up this whatever you want to call it, amazing discussion and question and answer session with your series. So you and I came together, I spoke to you about what we spoke about regarding our cosmic origin and your book, and bringing it in a whole new fashion, right? Through video, through a series where maybe people can do Q&As with you on Unified TV and things like that. And of course, what's most important is so we can be able to support you as well, because you've been working hard. You've been on lives every single day on Instagram and YouTube back to back. I don't even know how you're alive. And I've done that. But you did it big, man. You did it amazing. So tell us more about what you're going to be bringing throughout this new community that you're building on Unified TV and why you chose to do it in the first place.
Well, I'm bringing is 25 years of downloads and solid research, all compressed into 4 series or 4 episodes. So it's my contribution to humanity. Knowledge is power. And the more people understand the bigger picture, our connection to the galaxy, our cosmic history, the more people are really going to understand what's going on in this world, because everything relates. What happens in the macro reflects in the micro. The universe is interconnected. So by understanding the bigger picture of the macro, which is the cosmic history of the Earth, the 15-dimensional time matrix, where we're at in the grand scheme of things, then people are going to be more equipped to navigate the changes that are happening at this time. And so that's my contribution to the world. And the reason I chose Unified TV is because I go with my intuition. I've been offered an opportunity to be on other networks, and I turned them down because I didn't resonate with them. And when Jason approached me, I was like, all right, there's something good about this. I feel it. Like when you feel it in your heart, you go with it, Yeah. And from the beginning, I've always felt like me and you were going to eventually connect, and we did. And it's funny because like you said, for like 2 years now, people have been DMing me and saying, why wouldn't you do a live with Jason Shurka? And I'm sure you got the same thing. And then one day,
a lot.
And then one day, I think I don't know, one of us DM'd one or the other, and we were like, yeah, let's do a live. And of course we get busy, and then the months pass. But here we are, brother, fulfilling prophecy, right?
100%. And now we're doing lives. Now we have shows. I'm sure it's just the beginning. I want to show everybody the trailer that you made as well. And again, if anybody wants to watch this show, it's all on unified.tv. That's the website. Go to unified.tv/Ishmael. That is how we give Ishmael credit for the work that he's bringing to the platform. Make sure to share that link with everybody that you know. You can get your 7-day free trial, but I want to show them the trailer over here. It's just about a minute. Check this out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ishmael Perez, the author of the #1 bestseller in Ancient Mysteries and Controversial Knowledge, Our Cosmic Origin. Join me on Unified TV for a deeper understanding about humanity's true galactic and stellar origin. We are going to uncover the various extraterrestrial races that are assisting us from behind the scenes in the restoration of the Earth. We're also going to explore the multiverse and the organization of cosmos and where Earth stands in relationship to the greater scheme of things. We're also going to uncover the true meaning of ascension, the solar flash, DNA activation, the secret space program, and then, of course, the ancient war against a sentient AI that's been going on for billions of years. So join me on a 4-part series on Unified TV. There is a 7-day free trial, and I hope to see you guys there.
Awesome. I'm excited for it. And again, you guys can learn more about that with the trailer, learn more about Ishmael. And remember that when you sign up for this and you support Ishmael and watch his series that is starting on Saturday, October 15th, you also have access to everything else on the platform. So it's not like there are communities within this. This is the community for all. That's why it's called Unified. That's what we're building over here. So you'll be able to watch all of this and so much more. There's hundreds and hundreds of workshops and just amazing interviews and guided meditations and things like that. So make sure to check that out. And Ishmael, I'm super excited for this. I'm excited for this to be released. I know you sent in some of your episodes, and we're going to be sharing that far and wide and just continuing this mission of raising awareness, spreading awareness, and expanding people beyond their own limitations to help people remember and realize that we are not limited in any way whatsoever. We are limitless beings, and we change this world through taking action. That's the purpose of the platform, as I explained to you. It's to be able to literally create this new earth in many, many different ways, create it through awareness, create it through funding bigger projects, which we've done. We've done with the social media platform, and we're talking about building a dating app now to connect people in this weird and crazy world and crazy times, and the healing network that we've built. And that's all because of people like you who are coming together to support this. And of course, we're all coming together to support you in return. So again, everybody, if you do want to check it out, there's a link in the description below. There's a link in the live chat above, unified.tv/Ishmael. Share that everywhere and let the world know about what this incredible man is doing. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And I also put the link in my bio for those and that follow me either on Instagram or Facebook. You guys could access the link there as well.
Awesome. Any last closing words before we bring this beautiful video to an end?
Other than just stay in your power, don't give your power away to anybody. And one of the things that I love that Jason has been talking about is, it's all about discovering your own essence, your own inner knowing, your own power, as opposed to externalizing it. And to me, that is everything. We're entering an age where people are going to become sovereign unto themselves.
Yeah.
And that will be the end of organized religion as we know it.
I love it. Ishmael, it's a pleasure to have you as always. Thank you so much for your time. And everybody here, thank you guys for tuning in live, whether you're live, watching the replay, share this absolutely everywhere. And make sure to follow me on Telegram. There is a link in the description below. That's where I share a lot of updates kind of daily, multiple times a day sometimes. So you can join me on Telegram, and I look forward to seeing
one last thing.
Yes,
Jason,
go.
I'm sorry. Due to the fact that there are pirated YouTube channels under my name, my only YouTube channel is Project Space Restoration _ Zion. All the other, I guess, YouTube channels that are called Ishmael Perez Official, Ishmael Perez Interviews, there's like 10 of them, I think, or even more than 10, are all fake people. What they're doing is they're taking my material, all my interviews, putting it in those channels to make you think that they are my YouTube channel, and they are not. So I'm just letting you guys know that my only YouTube channel is Project Space Restoration _ Zion. Every other channel is fake.
I need you to send that to me. I'm going to put that in the link in the description below so everybody knows exactly what's real and what isn't.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. This is the beginning of something real big, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to Ishmael's real channel on YouTube. Make sure to join my Telegram channel and make sure to join Unified TV with your 7-day free trial. There are links in the description below for everything. We are coming together to make the change that we want to see in the world. Thank you all so much. And I'm wishing you all a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.